Dice are rolling, darkness falls. Inside the GM Studios halls. Tabletop games where nightmares creep. In a realm where sanity is lost and weak. Welcome to the abyss where dreams shatter. Inside the GM studio, nothing else matters. Blood and chaos, the dark arts unfold. In the realm of role-playing, where legends are told.
What it do, bitches? Welcome back to the side question episode of Inside the GM Studio, where me and my co-host field some bullshit from the internet. I am your host, David.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm gonna do the clicky clack. Oh, I got a deuce. Just dropped a deuce.
Okay. All right, so this one
Don't do it. Don't fucking do it.
comes from Burning Clown on our Ask Game Masters with the title Newbie DM Playing Around with Memory Loss. I've never had proper tabletop experiences except maybe like one or two sessions. They were simple and interesting, but I really sucked as a player. I felt minimal room to interact, as I myself didn't know when to step in and speak or do something. I decided I'd try making a one-shot. It involves apprehending a person at the end of several long corridors, rooms, etc. The gimmick is that the further that they go, the hotter it becomes. The hotter it becomes, the more memories they lose or have to struggle to remember. Once they reach the end, depending on the outcome, they either A, forget why they were there and begin new lives, or B, apprehend the person who will then recover their memories. How could I go about doing this while also keeping it immersive? I looked around on forums and saw it being a bit of a decisive topic. This is intended for a D&D campaign, probably 5e or something homebrewy.
I assume he means divisive topic, not decisive.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh no, I that was me. I fucked up. It does say divisive. I want to give him
Okay.
credit.
Okay, yeah. So contentious, in other words. Like,
Yes.
people think it's either a really great idea or they think it's total shit.
Which I've heard a lot of people. Actually, I think the majority are against it. They don't like memory loss in their games.
It's not that I don't like memory loss. It's just, it's one of those things where, okay, before we get into like how you could go about doing this, the caution here is that, one, he prefaces it by saying, I don't have much experience playing games or running games. I'm not even all that good at playing in games. And then you're going to kind of take like something that would require you, like, I've been GMing for 20, 30 years, and I would not be comfortable that I could enact this sort of thing effectively and have it be fun for the players. And so it is pure hubris for this guy to think that he could do this and it wouldn't be anything other than just confusing, boring, stagnant, and trite. So further, notice how he doesn't say anything about the story, the plot, the characters of the adventure. He had some neat concept of like, wouldn't it be cool if like the farther you go into a dungeon, the more you lose your memory. I don't know why it needs to be hot for them to lose their memory.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
that seems really bizarre, but who is this person? Why do they restore their memories? Whatever. It's like, you have no concept of like an adventure. You came up with a cool idea that you think would be some sort of plot device, and now you're trying to shoehorn it into an adventure with no concept of how to do that. And so, sorry, I'm having a little bit of background noise here that hopefully we can get edited out. So that's really the crux of probably why it's divisive, is that like people that are more into kind of, plot devices and sort of stuff like that are more going to be more keen to be like, oh, what a cool idea, right? Like coming up with a cool subversion of expectations for like a sci-fi story or something like that. It's like, what would happen if a technology like this had existed? It's like that's not a plot, right? You need a plot. You need a what's the adventure hook? What's the inciting incident, the rising action, the falling action? Who's the villain? What's the villain's motivations? Like, why are the characters here? Just this is a kernel of something that would be cool if you already had like a really well fleshed out adventure and you knew kind of the momentum of the adventure and where it was going, and then you were like, oh, what if as a plot device I have some sort of thing where they lose their memory? But what we don't have is why it's important that they're losing their memory. Like, why is this a thing that is plays into your story at all, right? Like, what is the central conflict of the story? And if the central conflict of the story in some way had some tension about identity or legacy or history or something like that, then memory would play into it very importantly. But it's just like not really relevant, right? You're just kind of like shoehorning it in when it doesn't really fit. And I don't know, the whole idea of like memory and its role is, I mean, frankly, just kind of getting really played out in literature and film and all sorts of things nowadays. And so not only does it seem to be aimless, it's like bordering on like trite. And that's kind of, I don't know. So
I've
you have
only
anything
dealt
that,
I've only dealt with memory loss once, really, and it was in my work campaign when we were playing Shadowrun. And there's a flaw that you can take of amnesia. That's all it
right,
is, and that worked out really well because the player that Sabina, Sabina, my friend Sabina, played this character. She kind of came up with it as her memories like started coming back. She kind of helped flesh that out, and like the whole group did. I didn't really have to do fuck all for it, and I think that's better. Is like in placing memories is a lot easier than telling your players, all right, guess what? These are now gone. Unless it was something that hasn't happened, it's like, I guess you could, bring something up, be like, what is a fond memory that you had? And, they say something for a little bit, they give a little blurb, and you say, well, guess what? That's gone. You no longer remember that. And
yeah,
then,
but
then
it's
there's still
also
just like,
it's really ham-fisted to tell
yeah,
a player you don't have that memory anymore,
yeah,
right? So because that's more of a character thing. Memories are more important for character arcs and identity and stuff like that. So but if you're going to be dead set on having the characters lose their memory, the way to do it would likely be to have, as they push deeper, the stakes are raised because the utility of the information that they stand to lose is higher. Every room they move into, you could just do something as simple as like calling for a saving throw, and with each successive room, the stakes get raised, right? So they would at least have a hint of what's to be gained and lost. And so you have like, say you have a hierarchy of things, right? Maybe at the low level, it's just like something as innocuous as like how you got here or who sent you on the quest. But like at the very top of like the hierarchy would be like what you're even doing here. Why are you here? Right? If you lose that memory, then you have no purpose in the dungeon anymore. Like you don't even know what you're going after. And so you need to have some sort of escalation, and it doesn't seem like the chain is long enough, right? Because the memories are tied to things, right? It's like for instance, if I just completely forgot something like my sophomore year, right? Like, okay, but that would erase so many things. It would erase, like, I would forget that we're friends, probably, and that would have big implications. So you'd have to figure out a way that you can kind of have memories evaporating at like a low level, but the party can still push on. And moreover, give them all a chance independently. So it's like collective knowledge, right? Like as long as one party member, by the time they get to the end, remembers what they're doing and what they have to do, then they can do it. But if they all lose it, then it's gone. So it's like you have tier one things that they lose, that they could stand to lose, and then if they lose tier one things, then those things are just gone. And then the next level up, if everybody loses tier one things, not super high stakes. But then as it escalates, it needs to be like certain information just needs to be maintained. What are we doing and why are we doing it? And but we don't have a clear sense of like why the loss of the memories have stakes in their own right. Like it's important for the purposes of the quest for the party to remember what they're doing, and so you can raise the stakes by making the information that's the most important be kind of near the end. Like if they fail, then they just like forget who they are. They forget who they are and what they're not just what they're doing, but like who they are, period. And so then that's just kind of like wipes the slate clean. That is dramatic, but you're not really positing the question of like why it's important for their characters or why it's important for their story that they remember these things. And without that, you just have kind of a neat plot device that has no gravity to it because it's not anchored in the characters' arcs in their humanity in some way. And so it just removes the teeth from the whole concept.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's just a plot device. Like here, even the Burning Cloud put in there, like at the end, if they fail, they forget why they're there and begin new lives. Or they win, they apprehend the guy, and they recover all their memories.
Right,
So
but
it's
why
like,
is,
yeah,
but
and
why do they recover all their memories? Is he
yeah,
hoarding the memories? Is this like a city of lost children kind of situation or whatever? Like, um, there's just not enough meat on the bones. It just seems like he has like a neat concept, and that it might, but it's like, moreover, how do you have it play out? Where is the conflict within the dungeon? Like, what are the obstacles in their way?
yeah. I like the idea of there being like puzzles, riddles, or just challenges that if they fail the challenge, then they lose a memory. That will give some reason, not just, it gets hot, so you start forgetting shit.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's difficult to have. The thing is it's difficult to have stakes where they're losing memories, but still pushing forward, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like, how do you have them lose something that's remotely valuable to them, but they still have a sense of purpose as to like what they're doing? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it just seems bizarre. Otherwise, it's just flavor. Like you forget your childhood dog. It's like, well, why is that relevant to the plot right
yeah.
now?
Where
So what?
I guess
Big
it could
deal.
be, you could be a real dick and be like, you forgot how to use a sword. So now you don't
Yeah,
get
that would be
a plus to your, your attack roll or whatever.
right. That would be like kind of the highest level of whatever, like, pretty high, like where you start losing your actual capabilities. But then now you're hamstringing them in a way that like, where is the challenge? Is there some final confrontation? Is there a fight? Is there puzzles, traps? Or is this like some weird environmental phenomenon? Like, again, it gets hotter, so they forget stuff. It's like,
I know. Now that we're
what?
talking about this, it's actually I'm starting to think of some stuff that could be cool. Like if they start forgetting stuff, like the wizard forgets some of the incantations. So if the spell has a verbal uh, component, like he forgets and can't cast that spell.
Or he just forgets that he's prepared a spell, and so no
Oh
longer has.
yeah,
There are obvious consequences to a character's memory, but it's not really asking the question of like what work is that doing in the plot? What work is it doing for the characters and their arc? Why is it cathartic that they succeed? It's just like it's neat because they stand to gain something super duper valuable to them. It's like it's like saying like, wouldn't it be cool if like, you know, it's like I just came up with a creature that like, it sucks all your blood out of your body. It's like if a vampire weren't a thing, and it in no way was predicated on the fact that like, well, you need your blood to live, right? It's just like, oh, but it takes all your blood away. It's like, So, like, but you know, it takes your blood. It's like, yeah, it takes your blood, but like, but if you don't need blood to live, then it doesn't really matter, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just kind of goes like, oh, it's a neat idea, I guess, of a monster that eats your hair, right? It's like, it's just, it's not, it doesn't have any. He's trying to figure out a way to make it dramatic, but not like making the story dramatic. He's like trying to craft a story around a plot device instead of slotting a plot device into an already established story. And that's a
Hmm.
really backward way to go about it. And I hate to say it, reveals his total lack of experience with the role playing genre as a general rule. Um, so yeah, it's I guess if you're dead set on doing it, then I would say that that's how you would go about it, like escalating stakes as you move through the environment and make it count more and try to have some sort of checks that the players are doing to resist it, and think of like, there's 5 areas of the dungeon and there's 5 categories of memory, and each character is a silo with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if they lose them, then everybody loses. Like, they only have to have like one bit of a memory of the highest order to go through and succeed. But I don't know that you could, given that you don't realize the problems already inherent in this idea, I don't know that giving you the kind of broad stroke mechanics of how you would do that because you is going to be helpful to you because you
Hmm.
don't have a firm enough handle on storytelling, I hate to say it, to to use such a so much advanced technique. No amount of mechanical help is going to assist that. You need to be running something very fundamental, very basic, very pared back, and then you build these skills as you go. Um, so, I mean, cool idea, I guess, but
It is a cool idea. It's just, yeah, like you said, it's something that you would really have to have. I think you need experience
what?
beforehand running the game before you even try to attempt this. This is like
Well,
this is almost like a, master grade technique.
well, and he kind of talks about it too. It's like, they're breaking the immersion. It's like, right, but part of the problem with trying to illustrate something like, as ephemeral as memory in a role-playing game, especially like you said, it's one thing to inject a memory into a character as part of the narrative, like tell them that something has happened and they recall this thing from the past, but that you're adding, it's additive. Um, where if you have something that's deleterious, like uh, you're removing it, then that's just like
Removerist.
predicated. What's that?
Removerist.
Removerist. Um, then that's like almost predicated on you like fully living in the character's head,
Hmm.
which you don't do. There's a natural divide, and so you can't ever really make that resonant for a player in a way that's meaningful. And like tying, if anything, tying kind of mechanics and capabilities and stuff to it, to me almost does a disservice to the idea of memory. Yeah, it would suck if you suddenly didn't get your proficiency bonus, um, or you couldn't cast a spell. But to me, that almost is like your memories to you should from a character standpoint be far more precious to you than the mechanical benefits that they have.
Hmm.
Like losing your sense of self should be like an existential crisis, not a mechanical inconvenience for the characters. And it almost seems to lower the stakes of the situation in that regard. This would be more at place in a game like VTM or like a heavy acting
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of game where it's about existential dread, and it's or even Call of Cthulhu, um, where it's much more acting and role playing heavy. You're trying to gamify or whatever this thing that's supposed to be a character element just seems kind of hacky and not particularly interesting, even if you had a plot to go with it, which he clearly doesn't. So,
Mm. Normally, this would be the time that I go down to comments, but nobody has commented on this at all because I don't think anybody wants to fucking touch it. As well as only got like one upvote. Uh, so there's not much else to really talk about on this one,
I
unless you
don't
got
think
anything
so.
to end on there, David.
No, I felt like I was just really mean, but he's definitely showing the brushstrokes of like why he doesn't get why this is like not a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you were really mean about it, but you were just, it's the brutal truth sometimes when you're trying to take on something. Like I know I did the same thing when I first started trying to run my own games. I tried to bite off more than I could chew right away.
He's
I
just
should have
trying to
Yeah, I should have
he's
tried to do more pre-published stuff beforehand and trying to keep it a little bit more just dungeon crawly simple when
he's
I
just
first started.
being over ambitious, and it just seems like it's just like you're undertaking to create a game that with not only no experience of like running games, minimal experience playing with games, and just the
Hmm.
fact that you've asked this question means that you're not, he's not even it's not even like he has a background like in writing, because if he did, he wouldn't have approached the question in this way.
Hmm.
It just kind of reads like somebody who is probably is like a fan of movies that have really cool plot twists or really
Yeah.
neat plot devices, and that gets his attention. He probably likes, sci-fi and horror stuff because he's just fixated on like, oh my God, the calls are coming from inside the house or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like,
He just
but
watched Memento.
yeah, I want it's something, right? And it's like thinks that that's cool, but it's like, but you don't understand like the craft that goes into the storytelling to make that cool, and all of the elements that are there. You just kind of, oh, I came up with this novel idea, and how do I like incorporate it into a game? And it's like, but dude, that's like that doesn't make it's like you it's just like you're just like went to like went and bought like a really fancy article, like you went and bought a Rolex. You're like, I got this really cool Rolex. Like, now where can I wear the Rolex, and what should I wear with it? Like, it's like no, no. You're like, if you're a fancy rich person and you have like occasions to wear a fancy watch, and you have outfits that it goes with, but it's just like you can't just get the watch and then go like, let's create a whole social scenario around the watch so that I can show it off. It's like that's just,
Right.
it's like that makes absolutely no sense, right? It's like uh, I don't know. It just it's very clear that he's trying too hard to be novel, which is an indicator of precisely how ill-equipped he is to kind of deal with such a technique.
I agree. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it. So let's just leave that at a good night.